Let's talk about Wise experience today. And specifically, I'm talking about payment transfer experience. During my time at Fintech, I used to look up to Wise for its product experience. There is something that Wise has got it right when it comes to making a payment transfer. And in this video, what I'm going to do is take you through a journey of how a payment transfer experience feels like if you're using Wise. So let's begin. What I have done is I have taken screenshots while I was making the transfer. As you can see, I'm super rich. I've got 347 euros. When I come to this page, if I want to do a transfer, it's right here with a green highlighted button. As soon as I click on this, it asks me the next question, which is where do you want to send? So where do you want to send from? As I go through this one, I clicked actually from my Wise balance, which is the euro balance. I have about 347. I wanted to test one payment. So I just selected that. And then it presented me with two options, whether I want to send international or whether I want to send same currency. Now, I will show you how international looks like. So when I selected international, they gave me this option, which is if you want to send, let's say, 10 euros to India in INR, Indian currency, what will be the amount that the person will get after all the rates that would be applied. So, for example, I can see they have a euro 40 cents as their fee, and then the amount will convert as 9.6 euros because from the 10 euros they will deduct 40, so which is pretty clear. Also, the icons of minus and is equal to kind of puts you in a school mode where you learned how to do subtraction and addition. So it's very nice to see this small touches that tells you 10 minus 0.4 is equal to 10 9.6, and then this amount gets converted to whatever that exchange rate is, and therefore I get the following amount. Now, if you have worked in fintech or if you have used any fintech applications where to do money transfers or even to even your bank applications, most of the time this information is sort of concealed. It is hidden as our fees or some fees. You will not get a proper breakdown. So I like this experience. I also clicked on this calendar icon, which is basically to see if I can schedule a payment. I can see this typically useful for students or people who stay outside of their home country and would like to send money on a regular basis to their families back home. Let's get back to our one-time transfer. Now, in one-time transfer, I selected euro. I wanted to test a payment from my Wise account to my own bank account, and so that's what I'm testing here. On this screen, if you see, I so far have not much information. It tells me, by the way, that it will arrive by Monday. So this itself is very important information when you're doing money transfers. This screen is pretty okay, and then it asks me who are you sending to. So far I've just provided my amounts. It also suggests some of my friends from the past in case I want to send it, or I can add a new recipient, but I can also search for a new recipient. So I clicked on add a recipient, and then I said either myself, someone else, or business organization. If you select someone else, you will have to enter the details once again. So I selected that and I said enter your account details. This is where I wanted to give you an overall view, and then I want to go screen by screen. Just watch the experience from enter your account details all the way till yearly volume. 9 total screens in order to get to the final stage. If I were to show all these 9 questions in a single screen, you would be lost as a customer because you're like, this form is too big. As I was going through it, I did not feel overwhelmed as a customer. And that's a key difference between designing amazing experiences versus designing an average experience. Average experiences work for most of the times, but it does not necessarily mean the best experience. All right, so let's continue with this one. And I selected inside Europe. There's also an option to see outside Europe. Outside Europe would typically require different details. Now, let's see. When I click on inside Europe, I'm asked for my name and I'm also asked for my IBAN. It's also called as IBAN, IBAN. It's basically a bank account number which is issued by your bank here in Europe. It is a slightly different account number structure compared to where I come from in India. In this case, it's kind of simple, and which is I just have to give my IBAN, which is my destination account. Where am I sending the money? Here, I'm just sending money to myself. So the name of the account holder remains the same, and the IBAN number or the IBAN number is entered over here. All right. So once I enter everything here, I have to click on confirm. Now, when I confirm, I will be asked to review my details. This is a very important step if you're building any experience where it requires a submission of some input data. I found this review details page or summary page the most important page. No matter where I am in my digital experience, I could be, let's say, just booking a hotel, I could be booking a flight, I could be just buying some clothes online, I could be doing a visa application. One of those forms where you have entered multiple details, if you do not have a review page, you will always have an anxiety of whether I filled in correct details or not. So the next time you're designing forms, make sure that you have a review page where a customer gets to see an overview of what is going to happen. Now, this is why I like Wise here, which is an amount of exactly 10 euros is estimated to reach your account in seconds. A copy of the screen looks more conversational rather than a very formal way of saying things. All right, so here what I can see is some additional input came in which I don't really care about. I know that my IBAN is correct or IBAN is correct. I can see the email ID, I can see bank account. And also they have other details. For example, you send 10 euros, there are no fees, which is nice. And the recipient gets exactly this. Now, there's a small detail that I want to highlight, which is when you're talking about this part, right? The easiest way to talk about this would be recipient gets exactly 10 euros. It would be the same thing, but there is a difference between saying recipient gets exactly versus Maria gets exactly. Because when you're sending money, you don't think I'm sending it to this recipient. You mostly think I'm sending it to Maria or I'm sending it to John, right? So that connection is maintained here. This is something I really like about such applications. And I don't think Wise is the only one doing this, but I like it when products do this. It reduces a lot of anxiety from the user's mind. Let's go to the next step. So next step here is confirm and send, and it's asking me what's your account for. This is a good helper text to have. They're telling me what to select instead of letting me guess. It says fits you best. It's a nice guideline. Now, when I see the options, I can see sending money to friends or family, money savings. Because I worked in fintech, I know exactly why they're asking this. Every single transfer that happens between a bank, there is a need to record the purpose of the payment. But for me, it is as good as just sending money to friends or family. And which countries do you intend to send and receive from? So this is my first time experience sending within Euro, and probably why they're asking me all these questions. Maybe on a repeat transfer, I may not have to answer all these questions again. So I answered all these questions, and then I went to the last question, which is yearly volume. This I found a little bit odd. When I'm talking about personal transfers, I generally cannot estimate what's my yearly volume going to be. And this is why their statement helped me, which is it's okay to move more or less. This just helps us know what is normal for you. Now, in this case, I just selected 0 to 2 and 350 euros because I'm not sure how much money I'm going to actually send to this account. I selected that, I continued, and this is the screen I got, which is all done. Your money is on its way to this person. Now, the next screen, when I came to this transfer again, this is the second thing which I wanted to highlight as an experience part is it tells you exactly what happened in the timeline. In their systems, these may not be some separate actions. It may not be as complex and as multi-step as they have made it sound here. But the fact that they have been putting it as if they have done a lot of work in the background gives me confidence. This in itself is a complete experience because telling the customer that the money has been transferred is really helpful. And you can also see more transaction details, exactly what amount you sent. Here's another thing about Wise that I really love, which is your money has been sent. And they send an email and they tell me that 10 euro is on its way to you. This is really, really important information, which is when will it arrive? Now, what happens in a typical context is I'm not all people are just testing Wise and using it only for test purposes. You have some real scenarios where you're trying to send money urgently to your family for maybe some hospital care. In these cases, it's very important to know when the money will reach. This is where I feel really confident in the product like Wise because it tells me when exactly the money will arrive. The three things that I really liked about Wise is firstly, even if they have multiple questions to ask, They do not bombard you with those questions in a single screen. Secondly, what I like about Wise is they give you the transfer experience almost in a very timeline manner, and it feels like the work is happening in the background. To them, it may not be that many steps, but to us, it feels like there is something happening in the background all the time. So, this expectation management with the user and what's actually happening in your product is really important, because I am now at ease that Wise is doing the work for me. And last part is, even if you have everything on the app, having an email confirmation for some reason feels much more concrete and a complete experience. And I do not know why, I do not know what's the psychology behind this, but if I get an email that this transfer is complete, I somehow feel much more validated in this experience compared to just seeing it on the app. If you know why this happens, why people rely more on email confirmations, let me know. Wise is one of the examples that I use when talking about product design and how the experience of the user should be. The user have found the Wise experience to be brilliant, and I wish they continue to maintain this as they increase their product offerings. All right, that's all for Wise payment transfer experience. If you have any examples of other apps that are doing similar kind of experience, let me know. I would like to review them as well.